Right. So, welcome everyone to round 11, and for those that are wondering, I didn't miss qualifying, I live streamed qualifying, and well, I thought I was live streaming qualifying, then I realised I hadn't pressed start broadcasting, so the game or YouTube thought I was waiting. So apologies for that, but we can have a quick run through of the starting order. Felix was on pole by about half a second to Dylan, GPRL newcomer, in P2, very impressive showing in the Williams, and Mike, an equally impressive showing in the Red Bull. It was a wet qualifying session, so yeah, it was intermediate tyres, the driver's starting on intermediate tyres. It's set to dry up though, so expect some interesting strategies. Moran was P4, pretty good job from himself. I think he'll be pretty happy with that. Jana and Tim, the Mercedes, 5th and 6th. Lucas, his first showing as a GPRL reserve, doing a good job up in P7. Rico was P8, Hans P9, Mitch was P10, rounded off the top 10. Then Luke, I believe, may have taken penalties because I'm pretty sure he qualified further up. Toyn was 12th, Kevin 13th, Matthijs, who scored his first points in GPRL last time out, was P14, and then Yannick joined just after qualifying. He is in the Ferrari. So, we are ready. We are for the final drivers to pull into their grid spots. That is Tim. Very offline. I don't think he's actually there. Anyway, here is the 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. It's lights out and away we go in what is a very damp circuit of the Americas. Looks like Felix got off the line well, and he's going to have an advantage going into turn 2. Further back, the other Alfa Romeo challenging into turn number 1. Mike going around the outside. All the drivers keeping it relatively clean as now we swoop down the hill. It's Felix ahead of Dylan as Mike holding, saying that he's going side by side with Moran into the S as the Alfa Romeo gets ahead. As further back, there's contact, there's a racing point off. That is Mitch. He looks to be out it. Yannick has gone and joined him as there's been some form of contact there. And the 2 drivers going off, I'm not sure if Hans was involved, as he is also up the hill, and there goes Mike. Big save, big slide there for Mike as he goes up the hill, losing time to the cars ahead, and that is going to leave him vulnerable from a possible attack from Lucas as we come down the hill. Talking about coming down the hill, here comes Matthijs, who's looking for a look, already up to P11 from P14, on the verge of some points. Here goes Toyn. Rico lagging around ever so slightly. Into the braking zone, what's he able to do? Lucas very close. And there is Toyn making a move, squeezing out Rico. Rico lagging around, causing a few issues. He's back down the inside though. He's going to be given the room. And they're still side by side as we come into the second part of the section. There's contact between the other Red Bull there, I believe. It looks like everyone's kept it in a straight line, just about. Toyn got past Rico, and now Rico's side by side, wheel to wheel with Luke as they go around this fast right-hand bend. The triple right-hander, similar to that in Istanbul. Rico keeps the position. We've got some great race in this opening lap. Jana having a look down the inside of Lucas here as Felix sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. It's all going on here as it still says Tim is in the lead. That is not the case, I can assure you. But here comes Toyn down the inside of turn number 1. Back on the power, good job there from Toyn to get up into that position. Meanwhile, we're still waiting on the whereabouts of Tim. I think he may have lagged out of the session, but no news on that yet. Meanwhile, Lucas looking strong, looking to take P4 from Mike. Meanwhile, it's all getting quite close up at the top. The top 3 separated by just over 2 seconds. Love this camera angle, so we go down the hill now into the big braking zone. There's Rico further back looking to make a move. Can't quite make it work. Held off. There's contact further back. Rico collected Kevin. I think that's Kevin. That is Kevin. Kevin's been spun round, and he's now going to have to reverse And Kevin's bad run in Season 5 continues. When will this guy catch some luck? Down to P13, sorry. I'm not sure who collected it. It might have been his teammate, Luke, who seemed to struggle so far in these conditions. Looking at the front wing of Luke, it all looks pretty functional, so I don't know if there's going to be any problems with that, but yeah, I'm not really sure how that happened. A shame for Kevin. F1 fan says hi. Alex, hello mate, how are you? Hope you're having a good day, hope you're enjoying this GPRL stream. Been quite an interesting opening couple of laps. The timing does spaz out every now and then, says Tim is in the lead. I can confirm that is not the case. Felix leads this race, just ahead of Dylan. So enter the S's now. Dylan giving chase to the Alfa Romeo driver. Dylan looking to give Williams their first win in GPRL history. So that would be quite the achievement if he could do that on his debut race, but Felix is never going to go down without a fight, and he's showing very good pace. Felix, the current championship leader, which we do have with us, as a yellow flag. Not sure who that is. Here's Yannick. Gone are the days of Yannick being a full-time driver. Stepped down to a reserve due to internet problems, so he's back eventually. This is a very interesting camera angle. On the back of the Alfa Romeo is Marine. Goes a bit deep. Tries to catch up. Luke now very close to Rico. Revenge for his teammate round the outside goes Luke on the dirtier line though. He's going to struggle to get the traction down. Here he is down the inside. And second time look. Bit of a Titanic scrap going on here. There goes Jana down the inside of Lucas on the double left-hander, making it work, but he's going to go quite wide, which is going to give him a terrible run coming out that left-hander into the triple right-hander now. They're going to be side by side. Lucas goes all the way around the outside. Lucas putting up a great show in his first race in GPRL, so really mixing it with the big boys. Multiple race winner Jana having a hard time getting past the Haas driver. Here's Luke still battling with Rico. Rico got back in front of him following that little tussle. And Jana got a really bad exit out the final corner. He's now going to be susceptible from Toyn, as Toyn's going to dive down the inside. A good move there from Toyn. If he can make it stick, he can make it stick. There goes Luke down the inside of Rico as well. This time, Luke chops it off, and he is ahead and done up into P1. P1, P9, sorry, I'm getting carried away with myself. Luke's got quite a way to go. To get to P1. There's Lucas though, making a mistake. It's currently a Red Bull 4.6. Toyn looking to improve that to be a Red Bull 4.5. Red Bull looking for a good point haul, and they're doing a good job in the constructors so far. I will get the standings up in just a moment. But Red Bull looking like a solid midfield team with a new signing of Mike and Toyn, of which both were reserves at the start of this season. There goes Toyn back into this. I'm a fan of this camera angle. Here comes Toyn. Doesn't quite have it in a straight line. He's going to send one on the brake, so at least he had a look. Lucas is going to leave him the room, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make that move as of yet. Toyn's going to have to stick behind. But it does look as if he's faster than the Haas just up the road. So he's just like Jana did last lap. He's going to go to the inside, but this time he gets it slowed down. Forces Lucas off the track, but Lucas comes back on. They're going to be side by side now through this triple right-hander. Wheel to wheel they go. And Lucas just about gets ahead. This is great racing between the two of them. Toyn down the inside now as Dylan sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. They're still side by side as we enter the final corner, and it looks like Toyn's going to force his man off the road. And there's contact there. He didn't anticipate Lucas being there. Both drivers off, both with front wing damage, and that's a silly incident that shouldn't have happened. And there goes Toyn late on the brakes down the inside of Rico. He's really getting the elbows out here. As there's more contact between himself and Lucas. Lucas kept it in a straight line. It's all going off here. This race, There's a bit of a train going on behind Jana. There's Matthias now has got back in front. Toyn out of the session. That's his day over. So that's a shame. Here comes Luke. Luke, newbie for GPRL, doing a good job so far. A really good job. He won in Germany just 2 weeks ago. In what was, I believe, only his second race in GPRL. Should have a good run on Jana now. Down the back straight. This is for P5. He's close, he's not quite close enough, he's going to have to settle for P6 for the time being. Jana doing a solid job so far. Lucas is out of the session, I'm not sure. I think he's had an accident somewhere. As there's Hans up in P9 now, so Hans into the points. Looking to score some points, he's doing a good job, Hans. If you can keep it on the road, he'll be able to score some points for Williams. Talking about scoring points for Williams, Dylan, his name is confusing me, but Dylan still up in P2 doing a good job, keeping the pressure on the Alfa Romeo driver. That is Felix. He's doing a good job, as we mentioned earlier. We'd have a little look at the standings, so here we go. It's Felix who leads teammate Marine. 100 points Felix has going into this race. He's looking to make that 115 with a win. And he got pole, so he will get one extra lap. So yeah, 100 points for Felix, and Marine is second. It's an Alfa Romeo 1-2 in the standings. Marine 13 points behind his teammate there. That is a race win for Marine if Felix got the fastest lap and a pole position. 13 points. Or second, that is basically second in the fastest lap for Marine to close that. Marcos is P3, just 1 point behind Marine, and yeah, he's not racing today, so that's going to hurt his championship chances of Steve, who is only on 59 points, also not racing again. Jana on 50 points, he can make up a place on Yannick, as they are tied on points at the moment in P5 on 50 points. Luke is in P7 on 41 points, having only raced at round 6. So Luke doing a really good job, and if he scores 9 points today, he'll be overtaking Yannick in the standings. So it's all looking peachy, as it is, for Luke doing a good job. Mitch P8. Mitch has been very consistent over the course of the season. That's handed him P8. Dylan now sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. He's closing in on Felix, so we could see a potential battle for the lead. I know it says P2. There's some sort of issue with Tim, and where he is on the track, his transponder has died. Anyway, it's the two McLarens of Rico, just 3 points ahead of Lucas on 26 points. Rico on 29. Rico scored about 80% of his points in round 2 by getting pole away in the fastest lap in China. He struggled for pace since then, and just been unlucky. Lucas, meanwhile, being pretty consistent, got a lot of good point scoring finishes. He's not here today, so that may hurt him, as Mike, who's currently up in P4, ignore P5, he's in P4, is just 7 points behind him, so he could be on to be taking that position. Further back, Toyn had a good chance today to make up some places, however after the accident that's basically been slapped down. Hans in P22 at the moment on 2 points, 2 points behind Steve, the reserve Steve, and 4 points behind Enrico. 5 points behind Amar, 6 points behind Ugaitz. Hans could start to close them gaps today. If he keeps doing what he's doing, and indeed Hans doing a good job keeping it on the track. That's what you need to do sometimes. Matthias, currently sat at the bottom of the standings on 1 point. Currently set to make up to P23. So he knows what he's doing. In terms of the constructors, It's Alfa Romeo dominant, 87 points ahead of Mercedes, and Mercedes on 100 points, a further 7 points ahead of Haas, and all of Haas's points have been scored by Marcos until Zef came in. So, yeah, Marcos carrying that team. And Racing Point clearly up in P5, tied with Haas on 93. And it's the midfield battle of McLaren, Williams, Red Bull, Renault and Ferrari. There's Toro Rosso at the bottom of the standings on 7th. Anyway, that's our standing rundown. Whilst we've been through that, it looks like Dylan is still very close to Felix. And he may be able to have a go down this main straight. I've noticed Dylan very, very comfy with his ERS levels. Felix got about half a bar. Dylan has basically a full bar. There's Jana dropping back this contact there. I saw Luke having a big moment. I think he just lost that on his own. This is Jana getting past Mike now. This is for P4. Ignore Tim. But Jano up into P4 now. He must have made a move down the inside of turn 8, I believe. And that's him up into P4. Good job by himself. Luke giving chase. Oh, that's Mike. I thought he was going for a look there. I think I was a slightly different line. I thought Mike was going for a look there. I would have ended in tears for both of them. Thankfully, danger is averted. So, just in from Dylan. Moran sets the fast lap of the race. Dylan has said that there's no plans for it to dry up, so it will be wet throughout this race, so I imagine the drivers will be wanting to take their tyres to around about lap 14. So they are bang on halfway distance, so 14 laps on these tyres and 14 laps on fresher tyres. You might see some try and mix up though, go early, yeah, if there's a safety car, but we'll have to see. Dylan starting to drop back slightly from Marine. As we still have a bit of a battle going on between these three drivers. Mike just ahead of Luke. Bit of a dodgy exit there though for Mike. He may struggle down this main straight as Luke is now firmly tucked into the slipstream. He's going to go out. He's going to be sent around the long way of turn number 9. Can he make it work though? On the brakes, round the outside. It'll be an impressive move if he can. He's kept his foot in, but it looks like Mike's still there. The inside line, the more beneficial one, especially in these conditions at turn number 9. There's a big slide from Luke and he's off. Well held, son, from Luke, but that's going to cost him about a second of lap time. In the battle for P5, Felix the fast lap of the race, but Dylan, still keeping him very honest. Very easy to get them names confused, so you'll have to bear with me. Yeah, Dylan's doing a really good job just sticking with Felix. Sat in the slipstream. Is it only a matter of time until he makes a move? He said to me in the lead up to this race that he was aiming for a podium. And it's looking good so far. I don't want to put any commentator's curse on this here, but Dylan looking good. On that, a lot of the other gaps have started to iron out. Oh, there's Felix making a mistake, as he's actually going to overtake the race leader, question mark. If I'm honest, I don't really know what's going on here with Tim. But I think he's just been hit from Dylan. And looking at his front wing, I think Dylan's got away with that in terms of damage. But yeah, whatever's going on with Tim at the moment, I don't know. I think what actually happened is he was lagged out on the formation lap, was out of place for the grid sequence, and then the game thought he was one lap ahead. So just to any drivers watching, Tim's points will be discounted for this race if he does finish on the points, so yeah, don't you guys worry about that. We have a yellow flag, do we have a car off? We have damage on the pit straight. Dylan's still giving chase. Felix still doing a good job. Slightly wide there from Dylan. Yellow flag in sector 1. Kevin's off. Kevin's off without a front wing as well. Was there contact with Yannick, or has he just lost that on his own? Anyway, we have the first of the pit stops, lap 11, and Rico decides to call it a day. He's going to come in for some fresh intermediate tyres. He'll be looking to take those to the end. It's an early stop. Still with 17 laps to go. But he's going to exit the pits in P10. Be interesting to see what he can do from here, and specifically on his outlet. Here's Luke now, caught back up to Mike. Mike seemingly struggling. Luke just looks like he's got so much more pace than the Red Bull up ahead. Yet again, he's going to go for a move down the back straight into this left-hander. Into the slipstream. He's got the ERS activated. No DRS in these conditions, but here we go. This time Luke has the inside line. He forces Mike to go around the outside. Can't make that work. Luke is now up into P5, ignoring Tim up in P4, because he has actually lagged out the session. If you're just joining us, I'm just surprised by the consistency of these two guys. They're so they're so equal. Yeah, Dylan gains a 10th and Felix gains that back. It's really everything going on at the moment. As it appears, I have now managed to find a track map for the Circuit of the Americas, so as I believe that in Matthias in the pits it is. Here we go. As Rico closing up to the back of Hans. Rico just pitted. Hans still yet to pit, soldiering on those intermediate tyres. And I can confirm the turn that I was calling turn 8 is in fact turn 12. So apologies for that one. But yeah, here comes Rico, Millennium Kid 787 in the McLaren. Got a race win from out of nowhere in his debut race back in round 2 or 3 in China. I can't really remember. Nevertheless, he got the whole 17 points pole fastest lap and the win from out of nowhere, to say the least. Struggled for pace ever since. Does that look like quite a big slide up the hill? And have to sit behind. Here's the two Mercedes battling. We can pretend they're actually battling. As yeah, Tim in AI mode, just dropping back like a stone in water. Anyway, here we go. Rico in the slipstream. Is he going to be able to make a move into turn number 12? He's going to tuck out the slipstream, show Hans that he's there. He doesn't quite have it on the brakes though to properly send one. Hans seemingly struggling though. Rico still sitting behind. He's on the exit. Looks like he's going to have to go around the outside. This is going to be very brave from the McLaren driver. He's not going to be able to make it happen. Is he though? In the final part of the triple right-hander, he's going to make it working down the inside of the penultimate corner. What a move there from Rico to get past the Williams and up into P8. Incredible. Incredible job there from Rico. And make that P7 actually because of good old Timothy up in P7. So Rico now free to push on. Have a little look at the gap to the leader. And tyre life. Rico and Matthias both have the freshest tyres in the field. There's Kevin still with a broken front wing, staying out, going for an overcut. Back to live pictures in the lead. Little stats that Felix has compiled as there goes Moran into pits lap 14, as I predicted. Right, getting pit stop priority over his teammate. It was about a 6-second gap though, I think, when they stopped, so I don't think that is going to cause any controversies. Got a yellow flag. Is that Kevin off, or? There's Luke in the pits. So the pit lane starting to get a bit busy. Felix now still holding off. Hans now does pit. So everyone's back into proper position. Yellow flag in sector 1. I think finally Kevin has called it a day and hung up the boots. And at half race distance, that is him finito. Yeah, as I was saying, some little stats that were compiled by Felix, and fair play to doing this. In terms of the season 5 records, just over the halfway point. The most podiums is Felix himself, the race leader at the moment. Both these drivers opt to stay out, and they both go in very late. It's as if they were trying to fake each other out there. And but yeah, both pitting. So it's now down to the pit crews. Yeah, Felix, the most podiums in GPRL season 5. So, how good you stop? There goes Felix. Goes Dylan. Eventually. So a bit of a bigger gap than anticipated, so the Alfa Romeo crew doing a good job. Jarno has also pitted. There he goes. Off and on. Lovely jubbly. Mike gonna follow him in for a new set of tyres. That's him on his way. And here we go, back to it. So Dylan now with about a 2-second gap to Felix. And he's going to be pressed to hold that and bring it back to what it was before. There's Rico coming out ahead of Mike, so Rico has actually undercut Mike, a 4-lap undercut, and it's worked. But as I said earlier, he's going to be hard pressed to stretch those tyres to the end, so it'll be interesting to see how that one finishes up. Yeah, excuse me dying. It's cold season. It's very much cold season. Meanwhile, Dylan's taken about 7/10 of a second out of Felix's lap. So clearly he's got some very strong pace. Very strong pace. Anyway, back to our little stats. The most wins season 4 is Marcos with 4. Most fastest lap is Steve with 3. And the most poles is also Marcos again with 4. So doing a good little job is Marcos. He just needs to step up in this final half. Championship challenge is still very much on. We'll look at the fastest laps. Oh, just as I say that, Moran takes it off his teammate. A 1:48.0. Quick lap there from Moran. Hey up, here we go, we got two cars going side by side. Round the outside goes Luke. I think I just missed out on that, so yeah, good move there. If he's just overtaken Yana around the outside, fair play, because you got to get up pretty early in the morning to go around the outside of Yana. And it turns out Luke was up at 6 AM this morning with a hot chocolate. Anyway, Hans has had a little spin. Still in P10, though it says P11. Basically Hans Mitch P9. But yeah, Hans P10 because Tim is moving around a lot. In terms of the most wins ever, the leader is in fact Marcos with 11 wins in total. So much more than, well, 3 more wins than Felix, who's on 8 and the most decorated driver in GPRL history. Marine, who's on 6. So yeah, just shows Marine's consistency. He's got him the 2 previous titles, and he's going to have to be pretty bloody consistent in these last 7 races if he wants to claim the championship. 13 points behind his teammate Felix at the moment, so he's got it all to do. Marcos 14 points behind Felix, so Felix is in prime position. Yannick's out the session. Yeah, Felix is in prime position to take his first title. Title in GPRL. Have a little look at the stars of tomorrow, if you will. Dylan, Luke, Rico on his day. You know, these are all names that can be up there in GPRL Season 6. Bear in mind, GPRL Season 5 finishes... Oh, when does it? It's sometime in December. We're going to go on the F1 Live website. We're going to take this brief moment of halt in the live stream to just remind you that the F1 Live is brought to you by... Oh, Jesus, I've got that wrong. GPRL is brought to you by the F1 Live, the home of F1 on Instagram and on the internet. As there goes Dylan. Dylan is right up the gearbox of Felix. As yes, thanks to the F1 Live, we're able to branch out our brand, and they're also giving us a hand on getting standings calendars across, all on the website at thef1life.com/GPRL. Meanwhile, Dylan's still on the back of Felix. Yes, I can confirm we finish GPRL Season 5 on the 20th of December, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, in just a little over, well, in 6 weeks' time, it is exactly, and Dylan has closed 2 seconds to Felix and made it seem like light work. Just makes me think, how easy is he taking it at this position? And does he have the pace to then go and attack and ultimately overtake? Dylan is very close to Felix, and I'm sure Felix is having a little look in his mirror. One mistake from these drivers and the win's gone. It is very much so gone. But Dylan's just managed to keep it in the tracks of Felix so consistently. He's doing such a good job. But it's just he can pounce at any moment, so if he's waiting... was that him getting out the slipstream or making a mistake? Yeah, Dylan can pounce at any moment, so if he's waiting for a mistake from Felix, he might have to wait a while, because as we know, Felix, he's earned his respect in GPRL. The driver with the second most race wins in history. A whopping 8 race wins. Looking to make it 9 today. It'd be very, very much a well-deserved and earned victory for Felix if he is able to hold on with all the pressure he's absorbed from Dylan for the whole race, really, even through qualifying. Felix now defending the lead. Is this now the time for Dylan to make a move? He's going to go to the outside. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? We saw earlier the outside line, not the ideal one. A switchback now for Dylan, can't quite make it work as he's still behind the Alfa Romeo, well absorbed, well soaked up from Felix. That's what he needs to do. Is Dylan going to have a little look, just showing himself in the mirror of Felix, getting very close there. It's going to be very easy for one of these drivers to pick up some front wing damage, and again, if they do that, good night. The number 98 being run on Dylan's car. Don't ask me why, but nevertheless he is using it. If you're just joining us, bear in mind this is the battle for the lead. Tim pops up here and there, little glitch with his timing system. Dylan though, still behind, but looking very strong. The way he closed 2 seconds as he came out the pits suggests to me that he has the faster race car at this moment, and is maybe just waiting back. There's Felix, getting very close to Tim, who's causing all kinds of trouble right now. And oh, that's a 3-second time penalty for Felix. That could be very costly. If we have a quick look at the race director, just the 2 warnings for Dylan. You can see Felix picking up a few penalties there. So Dylan will have access to that information. So it's about how he uses it now. There's 8 laps. Does he just sit back and sit within the 3-second window, or does he go for it? Felix has got to go for it. He's got 3 seconds to open up, or he's got to hope that Dylan gets a penalty. So it's all to play for. Very much all to play for. A little bit further back, it looks like some of the gaps are closing up again. Rico, well, he was closing on Mike. I'm not sure what's happened. Bear in mind, Rico on 4 lap older tyres than Mike, so Mike may have overtaken him. Jan is still keeping Luke very honest. And Dylan, as always, has been keeping on it with Felix. As Luke picks up a 3-second time penalty. Dylan still giving chase to the Alfa Romeo of Felix. Meanwhile, Marine, whilst all this is going on, that's a little mistake from Felix. Felix makes a mistake. Thankfully though, keeps it in the lead of the race. Is the pressure starting to get to the lead Alfa Romeo driver, the championship leader? Rico now at pits for what I can only assume is a new set of intermediates. It's not quite dry weather yet. Felix again ever so slightly wide. In the slipstream now. As I mentioned earlier on the race, Dylan's very nice to his ERS. I do have to say that. Looking at Felix, he's got maybe a third of a bar left, and Dylan has, every time I've seen, he's had more than half his ERS. So that it's a very good skill to have, and I'm sure it'll come to help him at some point. Meanwhile, just under a second gap between these two. Meanwhile, there's a pretty close gap between Yano and Luke. As Luke actually overtook Yano a few laps ago. Yano is now closed back up. And it's like Dylan now, just on the verge of that 1 second margin. Has Felix decided to turn on the party mode, put on the afterburners, and go? And Ryan picks up a 3-second time penalty. Little update on Dylan. Still no penalty. He's just one warning away though, so if one mistake can throw it away. But at the moment he's looking pretty happy, pretty jolly to finish P1. No commentator's curse. Meanwhile, Matt Ice is in the pits. Rico did this a few laps ago, so I'm not sure if this is serving a stop and go, but it's dropping him back massively and may drop him behind Hans. I don't think it will drop him behind Hans, but yeah, so Matthias back out in P9. Tim yet to be dropped down. Here is Hans in P10, the final point scoring positions, looking to score his first points in a while, bringing some nice points to his tally and also Williams' tally. He's been quite lucky, Hans. He does deserve a few more points than what he's got, but maybe this can be the kickstart of a good run for him in the final part of this season. A bit further forward though, on the other Williams, closed right back up to Felix, so he clearly wasn't doing my strategy of the afterburners, but you know, good effort to me for trying. Let's run to the final little section of this race. Not long to go now at all. Yana now very close to Luke. Yana's going to go down the inside. Luke leaves in the room. The racer and Luke are very smart. Big oversteer that. But yeah, switch back line for Luke will give him better drive out of turn 11. Now on the power, he's wheel to wheel with the Mercedes, as they now go down the back straight into turn number 12. There goes Luke down the inside on the brakes. He's quite deep though. He runs off the circuit. He'll have to give that position back. Yana gets back past him anyway. But yeah, they're both now coming up to the lagged out Tim. You see Yana runs into the back of his teammate. Contact there between Luke and Tim. Yeah, I can confirm Tim is not in the lead of the race, so that is throwing me around a bit at the moment, so I'm not actually entirely sure what's gone on there, but nevertheless Tim is he's very much so out of position. Meanwhile, so Yana now past Luke. Can Luke go and chase back up to the Mercedes driver, the now lead Mercedes driver of Yano up in P4. Very good showing from Yano so far, and qualified P5, now P4. Luke, meanwhile, started P11, I think he qualified P6. Currently P5, not doing a bad job for himself. However, oh, that's a big moment for Luke. He's off. I think he held it. He did hold it, and the rear end just started to get loose through the S's. And he did a very, very good job to hold on to that. Very impressive car control on display there from the Renault driver, but I bet his rear tyres are screaming. Fair play, Luke. Well done. We're on to lap 25 now. A lot of the battles have actually ironed out on track. This one's been a very tense one though, from start to finish. Dylan has been right on the back of Felix. He looked as if he was so strong when he came out the pits. He was like 2.5 seconds back, I think, and closed that up like that. But now he's only got about 3 laps to do something about it. Bear in mind, he is in a net P1 at the moment, as Felix has 3 seconds of time penalty. He's defending the inside now into turn 12, and Felix has drove a stellar job so far. However, Dylan on the verge of a penalty. There's just 3 laps to go. Wheel spin, you can hear it from the Williams. Not an ideal exit, but has he been saving all his pace for an ending, for a crescendo at the end? Or is it too little, too late? I'm sure Felix would love to have this race won. He's holding out for a penalty and a mistake from Dylan, but at the minute it looks like the Williams driver is just so consistent, and he's doing such a good job. And it makes you think, if Dylan commits himself to GPRL and becomes a driver in season 6, we could be adding his name to the list of GPRL champions. Casper, Terry, Marine, question mark. Talking about Casper, I think he's in the pro draft, so Casper, if you're watching this, congratulations, mate. Anyway, here comes Dylan into turn number 12. He's not quite close enough, but he really is starting to pile on the pressure now to the leader and the Alfa Romeo. Talking about the Alfa Romeo, the second one. Dropped off the pace, Marine not showing the pace that we have sometimes seen glimmers of, and he struggled today as Marine. However, P3 and a podium, if he can hold off Yana, I think he'll be pretty satisfied with. Dylan's very close out the final corner. Maybe closer than he's been before. Is he close enough for a lunge? He's gonna have a little look. Felix sees him coming, leaves him the room. Nothing comes of it though. And it was a half-hearted attempt from Dylan, sorry. I don't think he was genuine looking for it. However, he's got about a lap and a half now if he wants to make the move on track, or has he spent his tyres? Remember, no DRS in these circumstances with the wet. It never cleared up from lap 1. and all the drivers have all done a very good job considering the small amount of spins. You know, if this was 2 or 3 seasons ago, it would have been carnage. But now the drivers are doing a really good job. As per for round 11 here. Dylan again getting very close down this back straight. He's going to have to be creative though if he wants to pull a move on Felix. We know Felix, he's not going to close the door on you, but he's not just going to pull over to the side and let you drive by. He's a very fast driver, Felix, and he knows what he's doing. Does Dylan also know what he's doing there? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but as now we round the final corner, as we start the final lap of this race, it's Felix who leads Dylan. Felix though with 3 seconds more time penalty. Yeah, I can confirm Felix with a 3-second time penalty. Dylan is clean. So at this point, all Dylan has to do is just nurse it around the lap, not lose 2.5 seconds, and he'll win the race. But I'm sure Dylan doesn't want to do it that way. He wants to win it on the track and on paper. But does he have it left in him? Felix may be going for one last push here. Felix will be aware that Dylan has no penalties. Felix himself obviously will be aware. He is carrying a 3-second time penalty. It looks as if Felix now starting to extend the gap. So Dylan will not be close enough for a move into turn number 12. Don't be fooled, Tim is actually a back marker. He's been lagging all over the place, so yeah, he's not about to take the race win, don't worry. But yeah, this is for the lead, and it looks as if on the track Felix might win it. But as long as Dylan keeps it in good nick and between the white lines, he'll be fine and dandy to claim his first victory in GPRL, along with on his debut. That'll be something really special. Here comes Felix now through turn 19. It's been a stellar race from Felix. He's led every single lap. He qualified on pole, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough today. He's going to round the final corner. It's P1 on the track for Felix, but Dylan in his first GPRL race crosses the line to win the American Grand Prix of GPRL Season 5. Incredible scenes here at the Circuit of the Americas. Dylan can be so happy with that, and with that he brings home the fastest lap of the race. A 16-point tally awarded to Dylan for today. He can be... I'm lost for words. Yeah, it was a great drive. Showed incredible pace, and also showed he held back when he had to, which is a real quality of a champion. Marine P3 rounds off the podium. Alfa Romeo 2-3. Tim does not finish P4. That is not classified. He will be disqualified for lagging out of the session. Yana finishes P4. Good job from Yana. Sure, I'll be pretty happy with that. Mike P5, sorry. Luke will come across the line to finish P6. Oh dear, I've just kicked my PC. Well, is he done, or I think he is done. So he cruises across the line. I believe he's out of fuel. He's going to finish. Rico finishes 7th, doing an extra stop, so good job from Rico. Turns into 6th. Luke finishes 7th. Mitch will finish 8th, sorry. It's all hard taking into account Tim's lack of finishing. Matthijs, for the second time in as many races, Matthijs comes home, claims some points. It's going to put Matthijs on a total of 3 points now. So he's getting there. Matthijs and Hans is going to cross the line to score some points as well. So, good job. Solid race. I think we can all be happy. Dylan, top step of the podium. Also Williams' first win in GPRL. That's one for the record books. So here are the final unclassified race results. Dylan, first race, first win. He can't complain. So clean as well. Alfa Romeo 2-3, rounding off the podium. So we still talking about the Dylan issue, so we'll comment on that in a bit. But yeah, Dylan wins his first race in GPRL. Hope you guys enjoyed. Join us next week for next round. So yeah, enjoy guys, and see you next week.